Okay, so today we're going to do a front-end React interview where we're going to be making Wordle. So if you want to do like a 1-minute intro, you can do that, and then we can get started.
Um, yeah, so I'm about like 3 years out of university, and I went to university in Canada, and I have an upcoming interview with Uber.
Cool. Okay, let me move this. And then, yeah, okay, sounds good. So we're going to be building Wordle. You can pull up Wordle on like a browser if you want to see what it looks like. I think most people are familiar with it, but basically the requirements are you need to build you're basically going to be guessing a 5-letter word, and you have 6 guesses to guess the word. And if you have, like, yeah, I guess, do I need to explain Wordle to you, or are you familiar with it?
Um, I'm familiar with Wordle. The main questions I have is like how far like we're going to go to imitate it, because I know like Wordle has like many like there's you can like go like the farthest, and you can say like, oh, when you type in a word, then like it'll like animate like the backgrounds
Okay,
changing.
yeah.
Like it'll be
So
like
so I'll
green.
tell you I'll tell you what we're start. Okay. So we're gonna start at, you have, and you can pull up Wordle, like you can just Google Wordle. So you're just gonna have six guesses, and every time you guess the word, we're not gonna have the keyboard on the bottom. So it's just only gonna be typing an enter and backspace. Every time you have the guess, the like green and the yellow should be correct. So every letter in the right place should be green. Every letter that's out of place should be yellow, and also the letter count should be taken into account. So, for example, let's say the word is like sheep, and I write E 5 times. 2 E's are in the right place, but then because I've already used those 2 E's, every other letter is wrong. So for the yellow, like, you basically need to keep track of word count or letter count. But that's essentially all we're doing. Is you just have 6 guesses. You only use the keyboard, and then if you ever get the word, it should all turn green and whatever, just like stop. Um, and if you fail, then it should just like end. We can figure out like exactly how to end it and stuff like that. But that's the main core logic is we need to do is we need to let people type stuff in and get results as it types stuff in. So you type stuff in, you hit enter, your box should change colors appropriately. I think it's like black for completely wrong, green for right letter, right place, and yellow, right letter, wrong place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So there's like so will we let users like have will there be like a specific button for submitting the guess, or is it just like once you
No,
type
you
in
just hit
five letters?
enter. You just hit enter.
Okay.
So if I like in the actual Wordle, if I type a word, let's say I keep typing, nothing happens, right? So if I fill out all the letters and I keep typing, nothing happens. When I hit enter, my guess is submitted, and I can backspace and get rid of stuff. So
Okay.
it's just keyboard input for now. If we have time, we'll add the keyboard on the bottom.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Okay, so the first thing is I think we need to do is we need to like figure out like keyboard inputs. So like I need to figure out like what are the key codes that map to like the specific keys. So like the A to Z, and then like if we need to like delete letters, like it'll be like backspace. And if we need to submit a guess, it'll be like enter. So the first thing I'm going to do is just I'll have like a use effect. So here we'll do use effect. Have like a function. We'll have something that like just run. So I need to add. So we need to read in keyboard inputs. So what I need to do is I need to add like an event listener
Okay.
that listens to all my key presses. So let's just do like key down.
Okay.
And for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have like a function called like handle key down. And it's going to take the keyboard event. I'm just going to log it out for now because I just need to figure out like what are the keys, and like I need to know the key code so that we can like use that to like identify key presses.
Okay.
So I'm going to do this, and then I'll specify the cleanup function where we clean up the listener here.
Okay.
So there's an error. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to first just like test that this works. So I'm going to click the console, and I'm going to put in a bunch of keys. And they should. Oh. Okay, so they're coming in. Okay, so on my console right now, basically what I'm seeing is like a bunch of events. So I just pressed A, and it should show me the A key. So I'm checking the A key, and the key code is 65. So we need to be able to support like any keyboard inputs from like A to Z. So I press A, and that's 65. And I'm going to press the Z now, and that key code is 90. So when we actually have like the board, I'm going to check the key code, and I'm going to check if it's between 65 and 90. And if it's not, then I'm going to ignore that input because that's not like a valid key. And then otherwise, I'm going to actually like put the letter into the board. So I'm just going to take down like some of these like values, like they're like constants basically. So I'm going to define them so that we're not like putting like numbers in our like handlers. So I'm going to do like A is equal to 65, Z is equal to 90. And then we have these boundaries now, but a few other things we need the enter key. So I'm going to press enter, and the key code for that is 13. So I'm going to put in enter as well. And then one other thing we probably need is backspace so that we can remove letters. So key code 8. With backspace, and we'll set that to 8. So I think this is everything that we need. So now that we have these key codes, I'm going to stop logging. And then for these listeners, we still need to actually listen to the key down. So for now, what am I going to do? We probably want to call like, so we probably need some sort of like state first. Like we need some board state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define like the board state here. So let's say we have like board state, and then probably need to store like which guess count we're on as well. So I was going to make this like a 2D array and then like we just have like 6 rows, and then like each word is 5 letters long. So then in each in each column we would have like the input. But I think we also need to like keep track of where like which guess we're on as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this a object. So it's going to have 2 properties: the board, which is like the actual 2D array, and then we'll have like something called like guess index, which is going to be the current like guess we're on, and that will just determine like which row of the board we fill with letters.
Okay.
So I'm going to set it to 0 for now, and then for the board we can like initialize this to like array of 6. So actually more constants, we probably need something like what are we gonna call this? Guesses count, and then like so there's 6 guesses, and then word length. So each letter is 5 letters long. So guesses count, and then so that's we need to fill that with another array. So new array, word length, and then we need to fill this with some sort of default state. I think it's just going to be empty string for now.
Okay.
Probably too new. So now that we have this, what we need to do is this board. So I defined this outside, but that's just like how it's initialized initially. The board actually needs to be state because we need to update it like when the user inputs some key, and that state needs to like every time we put in a key, then we need to re-render the DOM with the new state. So I'm actually going to make I'm going to import useState up here.
Okay.
And then we do const. Actually, I was in a useState, but actually, because this is like complex, like if we have useState here, if I just go with like a regular useState, anytime I like update the board, I'm gonna have to like put like a lot of code. I think it'd be better if we had like a update function instead. So I'm gonna actually do user data. I think it's better if I just have like a update function. Let me define an update function first, and then or actually. I think it's better if we have like an update. We do use reducer instead of use state because there's going to be a lot of complex state updates happening.
Okay.
Like when we actually like insert words into the Wordle grid, and then like backspace to like remove words and like guesses as well. So I'm going to have use reducer. So we're going to do state, so the first state, and then like we're gonna need like a function to update the state. We're gonna need to do like update board. So use reducer, and then we have a function. So I'm gonna define the function outside here first. Reducer function reducer. And then we need to specify some initial state. So initial state will just be the initial board state that we defined.
Okay.
Why is it giving me an error? It's weird. Primitive type board is not assignable to parameter of type board. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know why it expects board. Let me see. Maybe I can define like a interface, and then just like tell use reducer like what type it should be expecting.
Yeah, so it says user reducer takes in what, void and something, or yeah, I haven't used user reducer very often.
It says Oh, it expects use reducer takes void. It takes like a function that returns. Oh, so I think I know what's happening. So this reducer function doesn't actually return anything currently, but we need to give it like, it's supposed to take like state and some sort of like action. So like action is just like whatever we're doing to update the state. Let's see if I just do return state here.
And then it just gives you like a return state or whatever, like a new state.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do return state. Yeah, so the error is gone because I think, yeah, use reducer now knows that we're returning. Yeah, we're not returning void basically. So it says it's expecting any. So now we need to actually, so on key down, we need to call the reducer update function. So I'm going to change this to update board. So now what we need to do is, like when we actually update the board, we have to do something. But before I do that, let's see if I can just, now that we have like the state set up and like we have like the board is like, and the window is actually like recognizing the key presses. I think, let me just try and like display the board before I actually continue with updating it. So what we can do is we have the initial state. So what we can do is state.map, state.board.map, row, or yeah, state.board.map row, and then we have like, we return some div. So this would just be the row. So this would be a div like containing the row, and then what we would do is within the div, then we would return all of our columns. So we would do, so for now, what I actually want to do is I actually want to make like each cell a its own component, because when we want to like change the background color, or like when we want to like basically change the background color, like when you enter a letter, I think we're probably going to need some state like that's specific to the cell that's checking whether it's the right letter or not. So, but for now, I'm just going to render the cell by itself. So I'm going to do row map cell.
By the way, so what's the upside of using a reducer versus just like an object for all the state and then using state like set state or whatever?
So the upside with use reducer is that like when I think it's just easier like to manage, because like we have like a lot of like state here, like board, and we have to like change the state. And then once you change the state, we have to like return a completely new board. If I just have like a reducer function up here that handles the state updates, then it's going to become, it's a lot cleaner and easier to manage than if I had to like define something like within like the app that does like all the state updates for us.
Okay, sure.
Because then like I would have to call like, if I had like set state, I would have to call like update board, and then I probably have to like call that like when I call like update board here, it would, and like when it gets called on the event listener, I probably have to like specify like another function within app that like handles that logic. So with the reducer function, I think the code just becomes cleaner overall.
Okay. And does update board take in the event?
So update board, when we call on key down, update board will actually like take in the event itself. So this action actually ends up being like the keyboard event.
Okay.
But yeah, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to return div. And then, so cell is just like whatever is in, in like the specific cell. So if this is like a letter, it'll display a letter. Otherwise, it'll just display our default state, which is empty string. So it's not rendering. So I'm going to refresh and check. I might have forgotten something. Oh, I need to add styling. Yeah. So an index. So first, actually, I'm just going to add like styles. So we're going to give this like class name equal to cell, and then we're going to give this class name equal to row. So yeah, it's styling here. So first, so I'm going to call back on the row styling. In cell, we're going to need border 1 pixel, solid, black, and then probably give it up a bit. And then we'll need to like center whatever text that goes inside of it. So we'll probably do like display reflex, justify content, center, and then we'll send like a font size for whatever goes in there. And then for the row itself, reflex, and then paste. Okay.
Okay.
Probably make it smaller because it's taking up the entire screen. Okay. So now we have the styling, and you can see our board is rendering properly. So I'm just gonna try and fill it with like random letters and see how they show up. Okay, so yeah, I think it's working.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so what next? Now that we have like all the tiles, when we actually type in something to the keyboard, we actually want to insert something into like into the tile. So what we need to do here is,
what's the why is it complaining? What's the import that you need that's like correct? Is it lowercase React at the end? I don't remember.
I don't have an error on my end.
Okay, I do. That's fine. You also should have an error on. So you should have an error that says each child in a list should have a unique key. Do you have that one?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna add the indexes. Do that key is equal to I. Key is good.
Okay.
Okay. I'm getting another error that React refers to Unity Global.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I think we can leave it. I think it's fine.
Okay. So now we need to like actually like update the state. So here, the first thing we're going to do is when somebody presses the key, we're going to check what key is this.
Okay.
So like if so actually, yeah, if action key code is greater than A, or action dot key code is equal to Z, and we will put like a key in. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the current row that we're guessing on. So I can use guess index to do that. So I'm going to do const row is equal to, actually I know I'll just call it row. Board state dot board, or sorry, state dot board at guess index. Okay. I need to do state.guess index, but because we're using state a lot, I'm just going to destructure the items so that we don't get a red state every single time. So we do this, and now we can just write board guess index. That's the row. And then if we need to put like a letter in, so I just need to return. So first, I'm going to update like the actual row. So we're going to do, or we need to first check for like an actual empty space to put in a letter. So I think I can use the index function here. I could also just have like a for loop and iterate through all the elements and check that way. But I think I'm going to use a for loop. Sorry, use index of. So we do like const index, like empty cell is equal to board row index of, and then we're going to look for like an empty item here, and then if there's like if it's not, so index of returns -1 when there's no like element that matches the condition. So I'm going to check if it returns -1. So if it's not -1, then that means like there's like an available space to put a word in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do, then we'll just set state, or actually no, can't do that. We'll do like row at empty cell is equal to action dot. So we need to get the actual key. I think there's a key so I think there's a key property, which actually is like the actual letter.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I was gonna say I think normally people can actually just get the key and then compare it to stuff. But yeah. Like I think if you did like action key is just less than the letter or greater than or equal to the letter A, like that would have worked as well. But yeah, I think there is a key or something like that. Yeah.
Oh.
Or it might be like target or something. I don't remember. I can look it up. Or you can look it up. I guess you can look it up. It's fine. Like how to get the actual letter. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's either key or target or something like that.
Okay. Actually, console dot or actually what we can do is, I'll just console.log action, and then I'll see what it puts out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, key actually contains the actual key. So I think,
okay.
Yeah, I could have just compared key with that instead of just checking the code.
It's fine.
And then it would have just compared it graphically. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so because that's the actual key, then I'll keep this, and then once we've actually set or actually, I don't know if does this actually work? No, I think this works. So now we've actually set the key. Now I need to return the new board. So what I would do is we're gonna return a new object, and we're gonna return state. So that's gonna put all the default state in, and then what we need to do now is we have we need to return a new board. So I do board, and then we need to return all of the rows before the current row. So I would do something like this.
So here you actually modified the row in the board itself, right? So what happens if you modify the row and then you just destructure and get a new object? Is there a problem there?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so you made a row right here.
Yeah.
But this is a reference to the row in the board.
Oh, okay. So
is there a problem with that? Is it bad, or does it do anything bad?
I think it would actually. So if I would actually return the entire board, I think when I type in a key, it would actually update all of the rows because I'm updating the reference. So it would probably not give me the expected behavior, because I think what I'm supposed to do here is actually create a new copy of the row itself.
Okay. So what happens if you have the state, right? You have the state and you just say state row index 2 equals v or whatever. What happens in React?
So if I were to just do state at row at index v.
Yeah, just give some arbitrary index and change the value. What happens in React?
And then I would end up returning the new. I would end up returning state again afterwards.
Right. So you don't even. What happens if you don't even let's say you do set state, right? And you. Well, I guess thinking about it, if you do set state, yeah, and you do the same object or something, what happens in React?
Then I think it would return a stale value, basically.
Right.
So
yeah,
we wouldn't see the updates on the screen.
Yeah. So I think if you modify this state and then you just say make a new one with all these properties copied, would that work or no? You have it here.
I don't think it would work because if I just modified this, then I don't think React picks up those state updates.
Well, if you modify this and you just do dot state, you still return a new one, but you do dot state, would it work?
I don't think it would work. I think we would need to make a new row.
Okay, so how would you solve this then, I guess?
So I think I would just do something I would create a new row instead of just modifying the board, I guess, index, which I'm doing right here. I would make this a new, I would make a new row and then modify that instead, and then return that row. So here, it's not an object, it's an array. So we're going to return all the rows that are before the current row that we're editing, so we board slice 0 to this index, and then we will return the new row, or the new row that we created. And then we would return board slice this index, this one, and then we would return all the rows afterwards.
Okay.
So that should return the correct state. And then
maybe you can try it, I guess.
Okay, I think it seems to work. I'm going to remove the log of the action before.
Yeah, seems to work. So now you need to handle like deleting and like actually submitting the word, right?
Yeah, so for deleting, we would need to check the backspace character. And then we would do like if action, this is just backspace, or if it's backspace. So now what we would need to do is we would need to remove the last letter that we added. So normally if I was like tracking like the index that we're putting the element in, I would have that index, but I think because we're doing like index of and then we're finding the next available spot and then we're putting a letter in, I need to now iterate from like the back of the row and then like find the first letter and remove that. So is there any way?
Well, let me ask you this. So can you reuse what you did for the action? Just change it slightly? Like you're looking for an empty cell, right? Can you just use that basically?
I think we can. Are you talking about like a function that like finds the last index, or because I was just going to iterate from like use like a for loop to iterate.
You can iterate. I was just saying like so you could take this, and if it's -1, then you know it's the last thing, and if it's not -1, then you know it's like the one right before this, right? So, but you can iterate as well. Like if it's full, you know that the index is whatever the last character, because this will give you -1. And if it gives you like 3, that means 3 is a space, so 2 is the last character. Right.
Okay.
But either way works, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, what you're saying. Yeah, I think we can do that instead.
Okay.
So we'll do like empty cell is row index of, and I need to. I need to create a new row again because we're going to be updating the board. So if this index is if it's -1, then it's the last element. So if empty cell is -1, then that means the character array is full. I mean the row is full with characters. So then we just remove the last character. So what we would do in this case is we would set row at row.length -1 equal to like the empty character, and then otherwise then empty cell contains the first index of, it contains like the index of the first empty space. So then we would just set row at empty cell, or if it's empty, like, so we first need to check there's if empty cell is greater than 0, because if it's 0, then that means the entire row is empty. So then we would just do nothing in that case.
Yep.
So if it's greater than 0, then we do row at empty cell minus 1 is equal to this, equal to empty space. And then I don't think we need to handle the other case. The other case is where, like there, it's completely empty, so we just do nothing.
Yep.
And then once we're done here, we should return some state. We would return the updated row. So we do like state board. Just gonna quickly type this out again. Plus index plus 1, and then yeah. So that would be the state afterwards. So I'm going to refresh and then see if this works.
Okay.
So I'll do A, B, C, D, E.
Does not seem to be working, I think, or at least for me.
Okay. Yeah, I think it doesn't work. So look. Let's see. Row index of negative is equal to -1. Row dot length minus 1. So I'm going to console log and see what I've got.
Yeah.
And then probably check what the actual state of the row is afterwards. Too. So I'm gonna do A, B, C, D, E, and then
is it logging for you?
It's not logging.
Okay.
So maybe I have to let me log the press again. It could be that I just have like the wrong code, and it's just like I mixed the codes up by accident. So backspace is 8, so that should work. It's not logging for me. Okay, so it's also reading the backspace character, which is not what I intended.
What do you mean?
Like when I press backspace, like it's actually like inserting backspace into the.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So maybe your key code thing. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. So I think it is working as expected. You just have a bug.
Okay. Key code. Actually, not key code. It's in between. If it's the backspace, then is this branch running in here?
Is what, sorry?
I know, I'm just checking the logs. Okay. So I'm gonna remove this action.
Yeah, so you know it goes here, right? You know it goes here when you hit backspace. So think about why that is.
The if condition is wrong. Or sorry, the comparison is wrong. So I wasn't checking the boundaries correctly. State.board.map is not a. Okay, so it's actually So now this branch is correctly running. So I'm gonna put some letters in, and then it just crashes. So let me check what's going on here. State.board.map is not a function. Row empty cell, row dot length, row. Oh, this is supposed to be in row. Okay. So do ABC E and then backspace. Okay.
Okay, I think it's good. Okay, so the next one I guess is the enter.
Yeah. So I noticed that like the time is taking, so I'm gonna try and go a little bit faster. So if it's enter, then we just want to enter like a guess count by 1.
So why don't you just, for now, just hard code the word that it's supposed to be in the constants, and then you can just use that. Well, I guess you're not even checking, but yeah. So I guess first handle the enter, then we can handle the other parts. That's
fine. Okay, so we have guess index. So I'm just gonna return the state board. It's actually a return. I don't need to modify board here. I can do guess index plus 1, and that will move us to the next row. So
should they be able to hit enter when they only type 2 characters?
Oh, okay, yeah. So if board at guess index dot length is greater than is under board length, then we just return the state and we don't do anything. So if I type here and I press enter, it's still doing that. Sorry, guess index. Okay, so we need to check if the current board has an empty cell. So board guess index dot index of this, and then if it's -1, or if it's not -1, then we just return the regular state. So I do AE. Okay, so that works. I'm pressing enter afterwards, and it's not working. And then I press enter after E, then I do ACD, and I do CD. Okay, so that's working, and then we'll just have the so we will have the word that we want to guess. So let's say the word for now is just like apple. Or actually, let's type orange. Now, what we need to do is we need to check whether that word is right or not, and then we need to change the background of the cell if it is.
So let's just start off with making sure the word is right, and if the word is right, then they shouldn't be allowed to type anymore. And also, I think you have a bug where if you hit enter and the whole thing's full, it crashes. So you can figure that one out as well. So I think that's where we can end. I think that should be enough. So basically, like if I type in everything and then I hit enter and then I type, the thing crashes. Or does it for you?
I didn't check, but like I didn't understand why it crashes. So we'll just do like map in I guess index count. So now we do it's still it should be the maximum. Guesses count is equal to 6, so it shouldn't crash because I shouldn't increment it anymore afterwards.
So 6 is out of bounds, right? Because 6 is like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it should be good. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, now the other thing that you said we should do is we should just not let them type if the word is right.
Yeah, so just hard code like your guess, and then check for it for now.
Okay.
Like you can put a constant on the top that's like your guess. Sorry, not your guess, the right word. You know, it can be whatever.
Okay. Word is equal to orange.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put it here, and then we're basically if board at guess index is equal to word. Sorry, if I need to get the board index, and then we need to join if the string is equal to word, then we just return the state. Or yeah, we return state and do nothing.
Okay.
Essentially. So if I type in orange, or let's put in a actual 5-letter word. So let's just type in like quotes. Mm-hmm. And then I try and type anything, it doesn't work.
Okay. So there's a small mistake there, and that's so imagine you type in books, right, in real Wordle, but you don't hit enter. In your thing, it just freezes.
Oh, okay. So we will put this. Okay, so
like you basically need them to submit the correct guess, and then it doesn't let them type anymore.
So I think like I don't want to make like extra state for this just to like check whether the game. I mean, I guess we'll eventually, if we actually like built out the entire thing, we would need like state to check whether the game is actually over or not.
Right.
So I mean, I guess what we could do is like if we can just check on enter instead. And on enter, we can just check like if the word is if the word that gets index dot join is equal to word, then we would like set some state to prevent them from like clicking again. So I mean.
So I guess you could just talk about, so we're out of time, so you could talk about how you deal with that typing it.
So I would probably just like have like game over state here, like sorry, like game completed state. And then like I'd have some state here, and it would just be like false. Mm-hmm. And I'd probably have do this.
Okay.
And then here we would just call like set game completed. So that would usually be what I do, but this is actually not like I can't call game completed from within this.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think an alternative solution that I would do is I would just so first we would return state here. So we would do nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then if we try to like remove characters and the current row had the correct word. So like if like row dot join is equal to word, then we would just have a condition where we would just like return the state and do nothing. So like let's say I type in apple or I type in like books now, I can't go back, and I also can't go to the other row. So this would be in a way like just stopping the game.
Okay, I see. Okay, so let's stop here. So for one thing, I think this would still not work because like in real Wordle, if I type in books, I'm allowed to delete, right? Because basically the constraint was you can't type when you hit enter and it's correct. So like in real Wordle, if the answer is books and you hit backspace, it will still let you delete. It will only end the game when you actually submit your guess. So what you could have done, and I don't see why you did do that, is you could have actually just had the game over in your board state, right? Because you're like, I can't update it in the reducer because it's a reducer, but you can just add another thing to the board, like to the board state, right? And then you could basically just say like if game over return state immediately, like in the very top, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so how do you think you did? And then what are the things you think you need to improve on? What are the things you think you were good at?
Well, the thing I think I need to improve on is just like speed. I think I was like going like way too slow. And in a real interview, I would have to probably like type twice as fast in order to finish it. Other things I think I would need to improve on is just probably just not like jumping like straight to like putting in code. Like as soon as like a question is asked, like just like try and like explain my thought, like my approach first, and then actually like confirm with you whether it's right or not. And then the second thing is just like probably I should have created like a separate component here for like so instead of just like printing it out, because I think that would have made the code cleaner, and then also probably would have been easier to like handle state, like if I got like a follow-up or something.
Yeah, I agree. So I think a big thing people look for is modularity in React. So having multiple components is always good. Like if you throw everything into the app, it's not going to be great, especially when you have follow-ups. Ideally, I could have split this question into like the very basic, like first just end the game, right? Kind of like what we have here. And this would be like the bare minimum to like even consider passing. And then the second one could have been like the colors, and the third one could have been like the keyboard, but that's like a lot of stuff. So maybe like the second one could have just been like the colors, and then that's enough. And yeah, I wouldn't ask like animations or whatever. I think in most React interviews, people don't really care about your CSS, like as long as it's like reasonable, right? If you don't know how to change a background color based on a letter or something, then that's bad. But as long as you can do stuff like that and like Flexbox and all that stuff, then that's good enough. I generally like people don't really care about like animations or whatever. So I think some of the things that you did well is the reducer was good. I think you were like, I have a lot of states, so I'm going to use a reducer because I don't want to just have like 70 state items. But I think the thing that you did bad on, the thing that I also don't know super well, but I have my own guess, and you can double check me later, is how state updates work. So the reason that, at least in my opinion from studying it before, is like when React checks to re-render, it checks the memory location of the state, right? So it's like if I have a board and my next board is saved somewhere else, that's when it knows to re-render. So that's why you can't update the board in place, and that's why it's like stale, right? Because the board, it won't re-render because it's like, well, it's pointing to the same thing, so like it doesn't need an update. So I think actually if you would have updated the state in the reducer and then you would have just like made a copy of it, that would probably work. I mean, I don't know how reducer works like super well compared to state, but I think for state that would work. So I double check that. But I know for a fact that like the reason you need to make a new one is because it needs an actual physical like different place in memory for the thing. Another thing you could have done that would have been easier, I think, for all your logic is you could have actually just made a copy of the state to start off, and then you could have just updated that and returned that, right? And then you wouldn't have to do this like slice thing and all that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, like React, it doesn't, it won't re-render the component unless like we actually like provide like a new reference to
Yeah.
to the component.
Yeah, I would double check this, but I'm like 90% sure that's the case. So I would look into things like, okay, if I have a state and I change the state, but it still points to the same thing, and then I make a copy, like, why is that bad? Is that bad at all? And just be very confident. Because when I ask you this stuff, it's like, you knew it, but you didn't know it. Like, maybe you were right, but if I was like, how much do you want to bet? Like, I didn't think you were very confident in that kind of stuff. So I would definitely make sure you like study that stuff very well. Like, how does the re-render process work? Like, if I have state and I don't make a new one, what happens if I change the state and then like make a copy, what happens, and all these different things. And so you're very confident in like what happens. And I think it's good that you use the reducer, but also because you use the reducer, yeah, like you said, it took you a while. And I think for these front end ones, depending on the difficulty, sometimes you got to do a lot, and it's a pretty big time crunch. So definitely at this pace, if they ask you to do a lot, I don't think you'd finish. So that's another thing is I would improve on is like figure out what you need to do, but then also like get going type of a thing. And I do think it depends on the interview, but generally when I had these, the nice thing is if you have to implement key downs, they usually do have some like starter code or boilerplate or something somewhere that you just have to like fill in stuff. Is that your experience kind of, or did you have to do a lot of things from scratch?
I think in my experience, yeah, they had like if I needed to like render some like initial state, then they would already have that initial state filled out.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so I think that stuff, and maybe that's something I could do better, where like I could provide you with starter code and maybe like a key down function, right? But it would just be empty, to just give you some boilerplate. But yeah, so I think they would have some of that, and I think the main thing you get judged on for React interviews is A, modularity, B, do you know state very well, state, effect, all that stuff, re-rendering, and C, just like how good are you at like JavaScript, like basically I like to think of React interviews as like easier LeetCode with some front end. There's always some kind of like algorithm that's not that hard that you have to know how to do. There's always like some rendering that you have to know how to do. You have to know how state, effect, like if they ask you like fetch data, all that stuff works. And then you have to know modularity. And I think if you are really bad with state, then that's bad. If you have no modularity, that's bad, and like things like that. Or if they ask you to like, for example, figure out this books thing that like and says that a book is done and you don't know how to do that, that's bad. Because I would consider this like the algorithm part of it's like pretty easy, right? And I think those are like the main categories. And I think the place you struggled, well, there's a few, the speed, there's also the how to end this thing, I think could have been a lot easier. Like I said, you just have a game over and then you just fill it out when you have that. Also, I don't even know how this worked. Like, I thought there would be a bug here. So this guess index never incrementing, I thought what would happen when you hit enter is you would be in the same place. Like your guess index would stay in the same place. And then I would think like, so when you type in everything and then you hit enter and then you hit like backspace, it would delete stuff. I'm not sure why it did it. I guess maybe you could explain that. Like you fill out the whole board, you hit enter, and you should be on the bottom row still, right? Or am I misunderstanding that?
So I guess for this line, yeah. So originally, when I didn't have this checked here, what would happen is that like I would like fill out the last line and then press enter, and then guess index would go out of bounds.
Yeah. So I got that. Yeah.
And then, but then I did like math.min with guesses count. So then I guess like if guess index plus 1 were to go out of bounds, like it would choose guesses count -1 instead because it's smaller, and then like the guess index would just like stay on the same row.
Right. So that's what I thought would happen. So it's what I was saying is like, let's say I'm here at the end, and I hit enter, and I would stay in the same row. Now I thought when I hit backspace, it would start deleting your characters, and it didn't. So I was curious. Like, I wasn't super sure why that was the case. I thought that would be a bug. Maybe I missed
Oh,
something there
um,
because you're still on the last row, right? And then you're basically getting this. Uh, you're getting the row index of empty space, and then it would say nothing. So then you would just delete. At least that's what I thought
oh,
would happen.
okay. I didn't actually test that. But I think that would be what would happen to the end. That would be another bug.
Okay.
But did you test it? I mean, it
I
just,
did and it worked, but I was like, I don't know how. So, like, maybe it just happened to work in some weird way that I can't think of right now. But I thought that would be a bug, yeah.
um, yeah, I didn't think of that case. So
Okay,
it
cool.
probably was bugged.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is like try to think of like the edge cases that could happen. So like the for example, the books thing, it's like think about when the game should be over, like it's when you hit enter, not when you type in books. Think about going to the row below, like out of bounds. Think about like how to do things cleanly in like a non-hacky way, ideally, as cleanly as you can, where it's like you have proper, like state things or something, not just like, well, this will be here and it will kind of like hackily work. So yeah, and then yeah, modularity is also like really big. So the thing I would recommend, the thing that helped me when I did, so basically when I did these front end interviews, I'm like super heavy backend, and you said you are leaning backend. So when I had these interviews, like for my previous job, I was full stack, but I was super heavy backend. And so I actually needed to like brush up on this stuff and do this quickly. So I think that thing that helps the most is practice in the environment that you will be tested in. So I actually did like Wordle or whatever other thing in CoderPad because I think there's a big difference between that and VS Code. Like I noticed when I was doing this with you when you were typing and stuff, I had a ton of delay and like I couldn't see what you were writing in the thing a lot. I couldn't see like the output a lot. So definitely practice in that and really be familiar. And so for example, for bonus points for like CoderPad, I'd be like, I think I even told you this, right? Figure out how to make files and folders and stuff and actually have modular stuff and export and import. Like all that stuff works. So same thing with like HackerRank. Figure out like is it easy to make multiple files, multiple folders? How do I separate stuff out? How to make it really clean and really nice? And then that kind of stuff I feel like is like very impressive as opposed to like a 500 line app. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
okay. Yeah, so probably just I would need to like, so this is like a really long reducer function. I mean, and then I probably just need to like separate out some of this code so that it's just not all like in this one file
Exactly.
together.
Like I think reducer you can have in a different file, right? Because it doesn't depend on anything. Um, like you're
Yeah.
basically just taking an input and output. It's a normal function. Um, or I could be wrong about, but yeah, I mean you wrote it. You wrote it outside of the app, so definitely that's the case. Um, so I think things like that are good. Also, if you had like a cell or a row, you can have those in different files. And like a lot of people write it in one file, but I find it helps to like if I was an interviewer and you did that stuff, I'd be like, oh wow, this person like actually knows how to split stuff up very well and like has very clean things like that. Um, and then also it will just get used to the format of the HackerRank or whatever. Because yeah, HackerRank is probably going to be a lot different than where you used to in like VS Code. So you can definitely take these types of problems, even this one, like redo it. Try to maybe be like, okay, my goal is actually going to be to do this with the colors with a keyboard in like an hour or like 70 minutes or something, and really work on like getting that kind of automatic and being very, very familiar with their environment. Because I feel like for DSA, like the environment doesn't matter much. But for the React stuff, if it's laggy or it doesn't tell you stuff or whatever, that kind of stuff really kills your time. Um, so I would be very, very familiar with like the environment that you get tested in and do every single practice problem in that, if that makes sense.
Um, yeah. Definitely. I think maybe some of the like the having to like refresh the page and yeah, just getting more used to it so that I
Yeah.
can like go faster and probably
Yeah,
with
because like in VS Code, you have like no delay and it's perfect, and you're like, okay, great. And then you use the other thing and it's like terrible, and you're like, oh crap, it's so slow. I'm not used to these things. And it's like, okay, maybe this thing refreshes like 20 seconds after you write stuff. How do I deal with that? Like so when you're doing the actual interview, you're used to all these like defects of the system, and then they don't really kill your time a lot. And then also
Yeah.
like how do I console log? How do I read the logs well? What are good effective strategies to debug? Like for a lot of these things, you're like, I'm not sure. The easiest thing for front end is literally just console log everything and just like look, um, and then figure out like the problems. Uh, and yeah, that kind of stuff would help. So be very familiar with the environment, very familiar with how state works, have good modularity, and then yeah, that other stuff, I guess. And also be very confident in your like yeah, I guess like if I ask you weird stuff, you should know it like pretty well. So for me, if I had to study front end again, I would just grind like these front end exercises. I think these are like gold because they don't really ask you anything super difficult. It's mostly just small stuff that shows that you know how to use React and like basic things. So I think it's very, very easy to prep for these things. Yeah, if you just like do enough and time yourself and all that kind of stuff. And also, I think for what it's worth, I think the bar for front end React is significantly lower than like LeetCode, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I think I would also agree because yeah, like just if you have like a good knowledge of React, then you answer all their questions and write clean code and complete the solution, then yeah, um, there isn't like anything too tricky.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
you're
because
also not competing with people that are like did 3,000 LeetCodes or whatever and whatever. Like, yeah, you don't have to implement some crazy React thing where they're like, implement something with Redux or whatever. It's literally always just like either data fetching or some simple JS function like this or whatever with like a little bit of state, and that's basically the problem. So
okay, I see. Yeah, definitely. I need to polish up on like maybe like dive into the React documentation because I know they have like a lot of they talk a lot about about state and like use effect and just like how the actual rendering process, like what are the actual steps, like use layout effect goes first and then use effect and then the DOM gets painted. So yeah, I'll definitely just go into the documentation and like learn more about like state and also try and keep my code more clean.
yeah, and I think like the things they ask you, people don't really ask very, or at least the stuff that I did. So when I did these interviews, they were either for front end leaning, like I think I interviewed for React for Snowflake, and startups or something, and it was like, yeah, I think when I did the Snowflake React thing, I didn't even know it was React. I thought it was LeetCode, and then they're like, here's React, and I passed. So it's definitely like a lot easier, and the things that I from my experience they really like to focus on is like the fundamentals. So it's usually not going to be like Next.js or some fancy new state thing. It's literally just like state, effect, fetch, maybe what's it called, what's the other one, ref, but like very rare. And I don't think you'll ever use memo or anything like that. Even reducer, like realistically, that's what I was asking you. Like, what if you just put the state into an object and you just had and your set state was this? Like, you should know like what would be the problem with that if there is one even.
Oh, okay.
Does that make
Um,
sense? Like, if your state was just an object with these fields and your set state was literally this reducer, what's the difference?
okay. Yeah. So probably just discussing like this would kind of be like well, not necessarily. I don't think trade-offs is the right word. It's just like discussing like approaches and like what are the pros
Yeah.
and cons of each approach.
Yeah, I guess here, like, so you said your reducer can take in an action, so that state can't take in an action, so that's why you did it this way, if I understood you
Ye-
correctly.
yeah, I think that's what I said.
Yeah, and that's fine. But also know that like if you use a reducer, be very familiar with like how it works and be very quick about like writing all this stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll work on that for next time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, do you have any other questions? I mean, I'm also like not the best person at front end, so like I'm not like a senior front end person, but that's what I would take out of it, and that's how I did okay on my like front end stuff. So
Um, yeah, I think yeah, mainly my questions are usually just like around like where I can improve. So I think yeah,
uh-huh.
definitely modularity and like just being more knowledgeable about like the actual rendering process is good.
Yeah, I think modularity, rendering process, speed is like the three things I would focus on. Oh yeah, and the fourth one is being very, very familiar with the coding environment for whatever they test you in.
Yeah, so I don't think I have any other questions. I know that you also wanted like comments like
Mm-hmm.
on like the process, because this is the first video, kind of like front end React video. So I don't know if you want like it now or
Yeah,
later.
you can tell me, that's fine. Like if you think I can make it shorter or what I did badly, or yeah, I'm happy to get feedback.
Um, yeah, so uh, I think like how like it was run is like pretty like similar to like how like a normal front end React interview like would have run. Like for me at least, I haven't taken that many interviews. To be fair, like
Mm-hmm.
I've only taken like a handful over the past year, but like for the most part, the interviewers are just like kind of there to like help you if you get stuck. And I think you like tried to help me or like at least point me in the right direction a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of like starter code, probably for my case, it wouldn't have made a difference. But I guess if there was like a little bit of um, boilerplate code at first,
Mm-hmm.
if the problem called for it, then that would be something that would like probably help the candidate more without like giving them like an unfair advantage or anything like that.
Yeah, I think I can definitely get some starter code. I can also maybe even have like an array of words, let's say, and then like some function that takes a random word out of that array, right? That's like totally who cares about that. Like, and I could say like use this, and also maybe just have cells ready to go that are just like empty boxes or whatever, for them, because I don't think that's super relevant either. So
Um, yeah, but I mean, that's just what I think. But at the end of the day, like, I didn't even solve the problem, so
mhm.
it's hard for me to give like feedback to like another interviewer.
What did you think about that? I guess if you had to go down this problem, like, what do you think is fair for like a 55 minutes?
uh, I think somebody could do this in 55 minutes, like if they were like experienced. I think for me, it's just like I was like a little bit unfamiliar with React,
Hmm.
um, because like I didn't like do it like during my job, but like for like a regular person who uses React at their job for like 3 years, I think 55 minutes, maybe like an hour,
Hmm.
is what I would say. But like 55 minutes, it's like if they were like fast, they could do it easily.
Okay, so you think it'd be fair to like have this plus the colors? Do you think that's like a reasonable problem thing?
Um, yeah. So plus the colors. Yeah, I think I had the code for the colors in mind already, and
Hmm.
that would have probably just taken like maybe like 10 more minutes. I mean, at my speed, it would probably taken like 10 more minutes, but for like a regular person, they could have done it in probably like 5 more minutes. So that's why I said like an hour.
Okay. Yeah, so basically have that, and then maybe have like a if you somehow finish, then get like an optional make a keyboard, just get as far as you get, so you never just like have nothing to do. And I know like that would probably no one would finish that, but at least like it would see how they think about the last part or whatever.
Yeah, I think getting as far as as they can. Yeah.
Hmm.
That part. Um, I think if you like get down to the colors and like an actual like game over, like when you actually like get the word, I think that
That's
would
true.
probably.
Yeah, maybe I can have like colors and then a game over and then like a retry or whatever or something just to reset it. That's basically
Yeah.
it. Something like that. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is like like if you had a crack person, like they could probably just complete everything. But like for like the regular person, yeah, probably yeah, just like an hour.
Yeah, I think what I need to do with this and like a lot of other problems that are like I haven't asked before is just ask this thing to like 10 people and then see how they do and then get like a because for all I know you could have done better than like 90%, right? Like I don't have a bar to judge off of. So I think if I ask this to enough people, then you get a good baseline. And I mean companies can do this too, right? Like they make their baseline based off of like how well people do on average. So if you do better than 99% of people, then like you're going to get the job if you did this well. So, yeah.
Um,
But I do
yeah.
agree that like if I had to guess, this would be like a probably like a lean no hire type of thing, because like you did okay, but definitely you could have done significantly better in terms of like all these other categories. But the nice thing is for React, like I just don't think it's that hard to improve. So I think if you just grind the environment and these problems, you can improve a lot very quickly. Yeah, basically, if you have an interview in like a week, I think you can get like twice as good.
Yeah, after this, yeah, I'm probably just gonna go to like one of the sites for like practicing like running questions and then just like grind all of them out.
Oh yeah, what I could recommend is I don't know if you've seen like Great Frontend or whatever, like one of those. Take the question, do it in HackerRank. Like I would recommend doing that format.
Yeah, I think I was actually doing questions before today, so yeah, I'll take those and then I'll put them in HackerRank and then yeah, try and like go as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm. And I think you'll get used to the debugging and like because like I said, in React, there's like fetching data, state, mapping over data. There's like 5 things you got to do, and it's the same thing in every problem. So once you get really good at those and debugging, I think you'll do quite well.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. See ya.
All right, thank you again. See you.
Bye.